not in Kansas anymore.
You have my curiosity.
Are you telling me that you built a time machine?
The Force will be with you. Assemble.
'Tis the season to be jolly, tra la 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 la. That's the wrong time.
Wrong
of year.
season.
It's
It's time for the spooktacular Halloween special.
I'd scream, but it's like 11 o'clock at night, and we're recording this so late. Yeah, this is a special Halloween episode that we're doing. Chris has been trying to convince me to watch scary films since like forever.
I did it.
And he's finally done it. And we've watched Halloween, which is very, very aptly named, isn't it?
Guys, I want you to tweet at us or put on our Instagram and just say congratulations to Sam for actually sitting through 2 horror films. Not just one. I managed to get him to watch 2. Wow. Never thought I'd see the day.
I was actually quite excited to talk about these, to be quite honest with you.
Okay. I want to know what you thought of him now, because you were really, really not looking forward to it. It was what, yesterday or the day before, I was still trying hard to convince him. He was still trying to wiggle his way out of watching these films and be like, "Oh, are you sure you want to do a bonus episode? We've already got one bonus episode this week." Also, if you haven't checked out the other bonus episode, we hosted the first half hour of Get Real Gaming's second episode. So go check that out, because it's really good, guys.
Yeah.
Go support the other podcast.
Why not? We've done you a favour. You don't even have to go to the other podcast to see whether you're going to like it or not. And spoiler alert,
Exactly.
You're probably going to like it. So, yeah.
I mean, I really liked it. It's the first half hour of their second episode, so go check that out.
Mm-hmm.
Really interesting conversations.
Right. So, as you know...
Also, our socials, if you're wondering where to tweet at Sam to say thank you for watching a horror film, is GetRealPod on Twitter and Instagram, or at GetRealPodUK@gmail.com to email in.
And I will tweet everybody back and say you're welcome.
Also, give him more horror film recommendations, please.
No, you may as well not give me more horror film recommendations, because I will not watch them. Because the only
until next Halloween.
The only reason I watched these films was because we had this Halloween special, right? I just don't watch them. I just don't watch horror films, and I know that sounds ridiculous because I'm on a film and TV podcast. But I just don't watch them. I don't know what it is, Chris. I just don't get an enjoyment out of them. Now, that's not to say that I didn't enjoy these films, spoiler alert, because there were parts of these films that were pretty good, and I understand why people really buzz over these films, because to be honest, they are good. But yeah, I don't know, man. Like, they just don't do it for me. I
think you're just not getting... Like, it's a certain thing. Like, I used to really be like that. I was always way too terrified to watch them. But then, like, I started to get, like, a morbid curiosity of them. It was like, why do people enjoy them so much and stuff like that? And then it takes a while to build up to the point where you get, like, that dopamine rush after, like, a good scare. Like, you scare yourself watching this film, and then once it's over, like it's like a rush of endorphins and stuff.
But
and
I don't even get that.
Oh, wow.
I don't even get a rush of endorphins. It's like when we were watching The Mandalorian, which we're covering on Monday, like, we watched it on the group share, and something came on the screen that was really cool, and you came on Discord and went, boo! And I was like, I absolutely shit myself, Chris. And I got no enjoyment out of that.
You heard it here. The Mandalorian is too scary for some.
The adrenaline rush that I got was more like caused me to sweat instead of making me think, oh, yeah, I got a real buzz out of that jump.
No, but that's what I'm saying. Like, after a while, it becomes that sort of buzz. Like, after you watch a few and, like, you find, like, your subgenre of horror that you're really into and stuff like that, like, you do get that sort of buzz where it's like, oh, that's really fucking cool, even though it scared the shit out of me 2 minutes ago.
Yeah, and to get us onto topic, that I quickly realised that 1970s horror was very different to the 2000s horror. Very, very different.
I'm saying that, yeah.
Like, wow.
So, Halloween was like it's not the first, but it's one of the first slasher films that ever came out, or what's now defined as like a slasher film. Sort of like the stereotypical, like, lone murderer out killing teens and stuff like that.
So that's what describes
like
someone as a slasher. It's not that they slash people.
No,
Because there's a lot of
it's sort
slashing
like,
in this.
there is a lot of slashing in this, but like that's almost where like the name comes from. It was like it's normally like somebody just going around like sharp objects, just like killing like a lot of people, and there's like you said, there's a lot of slashing in it, sort of thing. That's where like it comes from. It's like its own subgenre. It's not like an exorcism film. It's not like a ghost like poltergeist or something like that. Like. So that's where it sort of came from. It wasn't the first. You had like Silent Night, Deadly Night, and stuff like this before it. I think that was the one. I think that was before Black Christmas and stuff like that. So it wasn't a wholly new genre, but this helped cement it. This was like one of the big first ones that like led to, sort of like the unkillable, unstoppable force that became like Freddy and Jason and stuff like that.
And for absolute transparency, I have not seen the original Halloween film until today.
I'm so happy that you did, though. So, first reactions, what did you think of it? You said it's so different from horror films today. What did you think of it?
So, to be honest with you, I didn't find much of the original Halloween very scary at all. I just don't.
Exactly.
Yeah, it doesn't. It's almost funny instead of being scary. It's like that first scene that you've got where you've got Michael as a kid, right? And it's like that.
Yeah.
It's that perspective of him, isn't it? It's in the first person.
First person inside the mask.
Yeah. And it's like none of it's scary at all. And I can imagine at the time in the cinema, it was probably quite tense. But like, I just found myself like just thinking, this is so 1970s filmmaking and acting. It's like, at first I had no idea it was going to be a kid in a clown outfit. I thought it was like, when I saw the arms, right? In like video games where you've got like a Russian guy and like
you play him like what's his fucking name, Minotaur on Modern Warfare?
No, it's
something.
the other dude,
Rodian.
No, the other guy, the dude who wears the tracksuits.
Fucking the guy that looks like Vladimir Putin.
Yeah.
I can't remember what his name is.
Anyway, I thought it was someone wearing like a green tracksuit at first, and when that guy runs down the stairs to like leave the house, the guy who's banging his sister. Anyway. I thought, how the hell does this guy not see this person stood there with like a knife in his hand and then I realised, it's a kid, so I'd let it off. But then I also had to remind myself it is a film.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just
suspension of disbelief.
Yeah, it's just it's actually quite hilarious, the first Halloween. I mean,
I think nowadays it is, like you said, like back then, like it was something that hadn't been seen very often. I think like, because it's been memed so much as well, like you knew moments, like you probably like knew the bit with the closet at the end where Michael breaks through the closet and stuff like that. So it's like, it's been memed so many times, but I think back then, like you said, it's not like modern horror films. It's not like a jump scare a mile a minute. It's not like over the top, like the goriest thing you've ever seen. Like every slash has like 2 gallons of blood spraying on the screen and stuff. It's like a slow, suspenseful film. Like the pace of the film follows the pace that Michael Myers trucks around the neighborhood and stuff.
No, to be fair, there's not a great deal of blood in this film anyway.
No, there isn't. That's what I'm saying. Like it was very different. Like this was playing on a lot of like, so stuff that like not Wes Craven back then. I was slightly after this, but that John Carpenter and stuff was doing at this time was like, it came from like a new age sort of like movement in horror, which was like, I can't remember how to say it, but it was like, it was bringing horror into the suburbs, and this was like the first sort of time that this was really happening. Other than like possession stuff, like this was like the first time it was like, there's an unknowable killer that can be around any sort of corner, and it was like invading like the perfect suburban lifestyle. So you just had like the Vietnam War and all that sort of stuff, and it was like sort of bringing horror home to especially the American audience and stuff. So this film is like slower paced and like the bit where Laurie will like walk across the street and then Michael will sort of like come out from behind a bush and like he's stalking her and everything, and he's slowly plodding, like planning everything, and he's just like a deranged, unstoppable killer. He's known as the Shape because like that's what he is. Like he's this otherworldly being.
I mean, the hilarious thing about him in the first one is how he's just stood there in the middle of broad daylight, just stood behind a car, just staring into the classroom. And it's like,
Yeah.
how is anyone not just like walking down the street at the same time and just sees this fucking weirdo with like a white mask on in a black overalls and in the 1970s? It's just like, but
Well, that's the thing. Like, that's because like that's our modern sensibility is like, oh, somebody stood there menacingly, covering the face and everything like that is like something like to be afraid of nowadays. Like that's something that you would worry about. But back then, like this was like a new concept, so it's like people wouldn't really be afraid of it. They would just be there like, huh,
yeah, but
strange.
But the thing that the 2018 one is mostly set at night, which I think helps to obviously the creepiness of it. I mean, yeah, there's quite a. I mean, to talk about something to do with the old one, the music's definitely like a bit of a. Obviously, the staple of Halloween is the music theme. The theme, it's like so iconic, but it's quite funny because it's so obnoxious when it comes in. You just like it just says, right, okay, Michael Myers is here.
Yeah.
And what I kind of liked about this, not being a fan of horror films as much, and I don't like tension. So the worst thing that could possibly happen in a film for me is something to just absolutely jump out, shit you up, and you just don't expect it, and it comes out of nowhere. Allah, the head exploding in Prometheus is the worst thing, the worst single thing I've sat through in the cinema because it came out of nowhere.
Yeah.
And I shit.
That was funny. That was so funny.
I jumped out the chair, Chris. Absolutely
I think
jumped.
you scared me more than the head explosion did.
Because I just don't deal with it well. So a good thing about the Halloween franchises is if you don't get the music theme, you get Michael's heavy breathing that lets you know something is going to happen ahead of time.
Yeah.
Especially in the old one, it's so. But obviously, this is editing of the time, I guess. So that kind of helps. That's kind of why it stands out so much. But yeah, it's good. It's good. I actually really enjoyed. I'd watch the original one again, probably more so than what I would watch
glad
the
you enjoyed
2018 one. To be honest, as good
Well,
as
this is why when I was trying to pitch it to you, I said like the first one nowadays isn't quite as scary, but it's like it's haunting almost in the way that like there's this menacing looming presence to it.
Yeah,
I think that's like how I was trying to pitch it to you. I was like, it's not a jump scare a mile a minute. It's like it builds tension and stuff like that, and you know things are gonna happen.
Yeah,
you won't know how they'll play out unless you've seen it before, but it's like this slow lumbering presence to it. That's what I love.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
You've got enough of a heads up in the form of the breathing or the music theme that is so obnoxious that you're going to know when something's going to happen. It's like the first jump scare that I had in that first one is the bit where I can't remember the character's name, so you'd have to forgive me. But the guy and the girl who are like getting it on, and then he's like, "I'll be right back. Don't get dressed," and he like goes downstairs to go get a drink, and then. That was the first jump scare when Michael like bursts out that door where he's like looking to see what it could be. Like he hears a noise, and then Michael like absolutely smashes through the door and like holds him up, like starts lifting him
Pins
up.
into the wall with the knife.
Oh man, that was brutal for a 1978 film, and he gets like the knife shoved into him and it holds him up and it shows his feet. Like I was like, wow, that's brutal. But it's followed up by that absolute brutal moment where he just stares at him in silence and like tilts his head looking at him, which is just creepy as anything.
Yeah.
It's followed up by him just stood in front of the room, stood in front of that girl with just a ghost sheet
Just
over
as a
his
ghost.
head. But he's got the glasses on over the top. and I just couldn't. Like, my notes have ha 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 in big capital letters because I just found it so funny. And the whole time he stood there, all you can hear is
Yeah.
and she's just like, come to bed, silly. It's like, God's sake. It's just so funny.
I'm just making loads of sounds there, trying to explain myself. I had words in my head, but I couldn't say them.
Yeah.
Like, my favorite horror films are the older ones, and like they are often cheesy by today's standards, but I kind of like the campiness of them. But also, I like looking into what they did for the times and stuff as well. Like you're saying, like that was like a savage moment for this time, and then like that was a funny moment. It was like it is because like if you think about that back then, without like knowing cinema the way that we know it today, is like in the 70s, like people would be like, "What the fuck?" Like he's just as a ghost. Is like it's sort of like to drop the tension a bit before another murder, isn't it? It's like the ebb and the flow of the pacing.
Well, what I kind of felt like at that point was an audience at the time, like if you were sat in a cinema watching that back in 1978, I don't know if you would be like, oh my God, no, it's not him. It's, go run away. But
shouting at the screen.
Yeah, and I'm just watching it like that's absolutely hilarious. Like she's going to get killed because she's not putting two and two together. But there's lots of moments in the original Halloween that's just so on the nose. Like there's loads of jokes, like when she picks up the phone and there's nobody there, and it's like, I'll kill you if this is a joke, and it's like, oh, it's so on the nose. It's like I say, a lot of it's funny, a lot of it's just generally quite enjoyable. Like I said,
I think you're kind of one of those people though. I remember seeing stuff with you, even if it's not a horror film or something, you'll be like, don't go in, like what are you doing, like don't go in the room and stuff. I'm not one of those people. Like I'll just sort of like, I'll kind of like watch it like quite silently and like I'll react to it and stuff. But I love when you watch a horror film with someone who's really animated like that.
Yeah.
Like, I was watching It Follows the other day with Charlotte, and she was just there like, what are you doing? Don't open the door, the creature's out there. No, what are you doing?
No, but I'm the type of person,
I love watching.
I'm the type of person that goes quiet and starts to like cover an eye, and then you'd look
sweating.
over and you'd be like, are you okay? And I'd be like, yeah, I'm fine. It's like, it's just I don't like tension. I just don't like tension. And that can be in any film. It doesn't necessarily have to be a horror film. But I just don't like tension in films. And it sounds dead silly, but it just puts me on edge. And that's why I can't watch horror films in the cinema, because I just wouldn't want to put myself through it. I don't enjoy it. So this is why I watched the original Halloween at 10 o'clock in the morning on a Friday, on a Thursday morning. So, but yeah, right, answer me this, because while we're on the topic of Halloween, and considering I've never watched these films before, and I've literally watched the original one, and then I watched the 2018 sequel.
Yes.
So Michael Myers is by all means a regular bloke, isn't he? Like, in terms of, like, he's not a genetically mutated...
Okay.
No,
I hoped you were going to ask this.
Because I understand that Jason Voorhees was at the bottom of a lake and he's, like, essentially undead, right? And Freddy Krueger's, like, a manifestation of your nightmares. Because I've seen what Jason looks like under the mask, and it's absolutely terrifying. Freddy Krueger's terrifying in himself. But Michael Myers, like, he's a kid that I'm assuming, what the vibe I get is it's because he was like almost neglected, because that his sister was meant to be babysitting him. She's neglected him. He's gone out trick-or-treating by himself, I'm assuming, and he's come home and he's had a twist and he's just going to kill her. And then he goes on a rampage.
He's sort of like had a snap. Yeah.
And that's why he targets those...
Because after that moment, he never says anything ever again.
Yeah,
and stuff like that.
And that's like, at that point then, he just starts to... that's what happens then. He lives to kill people like that.
Okay.
So how does he turn into this fucking unstoppable force of nature who can take a stab in the eye, a stab through the head, a bullet to the face? How does this happen?
So, like, it's just sort of meant to be like like he is an unhinged, like he's sort of like you said, like at that point he kind of becomes a force of nature, and like he's trying to like wreak vengeance on the world and stuff like that. That's sort of like how it is if you just like watch like Halloween and then you dive into like the newer films. That's just sort of what it is. Like he is just sort of like he's sort of like as strong as a human possibly could be. Like if he was like a weightlifter or something like that. You know what I mean? Like it's all within human limits. Like he can take a licking, but at the end of the first one, it's presumed that he's dead, isn't it? He gets shot and he falls out the window. But so this is where all the sequels come in. So there was like 7 sequels in the original franchise, I think, like that. And I'm trying to figure out what it is now. Oh, I remember now. So all the names of the Halloween films after Halloween 3 all have the same naming conventions as the Pink Panther movies. So you got like Revenge of Michael Myers, Curse of Michael Myers, and stuff like that, which is really funny that they got the same names as the Pink Panther movies.
You're telling me, based off what you've just said, are you telling me that Michael Myers is possessed by a demon Pink Panther that's unstoppable and unkillable, and that's why...
that's exactly what I'm telling you. Yeah. No, do you know what? That's not even weirder than the truth of the franchise. So the franchise just goes down a rabbit hole. So it's revealed in the second one that Laurie is actually Michael Myers' sister.
Okay, yeah.
And when he commits the murders, her mum was his mum was pregnant with another kid.
Okay.
So that's who Laurie Strode is. Then it goes down, like you start to get clues of like this cult of the runes and all this sort of stuff, and you're like, what the fuck's going on here? And like there's another doctor comes into it who's like who was treating Michael but sort of like casting almost rituals on him and stuff like that. So basically it ends up working out that Michael Myers is like just a body possession for this cult thing to then bring about almost like an antichrist. Like he's there to like facilitate a ritual and stuff like that so that they can find a next host and all this sort of weird fucking stuff. Like that led down like 7 different films and it was batshit crazy. There's a point where I think it's Laurie has a kid. I think it's Laurie has a kid. So it's like his niece and like he's connected with her and like she's got like a telepathic link to him. So she has like a crack at one point, but like he's trying to follow her to keep the bloodline and stuff like that. And I think further down the lines, like the cult impregnates his niece with Michael's sperm and stuff like this to keep the bloodline pure. It fucking goes batshit insane.
I'm assuming
it's mental. It makes no sense.
I'm assuming it got retconned.
Yeah, with... I believe it was Halloween H2O was the one that retconned it, which was awful. And then you had Halloween Resurrection, and those two brought back Jamie Lee Curtis. They brought her back. So she's been like dealing, like she's become an alcoholic and stuff like that. There's a few themes that carried over into the 2018 one. Her son, also H2O has Michelle Williams, like Oscar winner Michelle Williams in it.
Oh, okay.
Like he murders a bunch of like college students or high school students, one of which is Laurie Strode's son. And then in the next one, I think she's in an insane asylum, and then Michael Myers ends up killing her. But then that gets retconned again when you get to the Rob Zombie remakes, which I thought were awful, but they tried to give like an over complicated like backstory to Michael and make him like a sympathetic character and all this. Like, you know, if you've ever seen a Rob Zombie film, you know what I mean. Just their like redneck trash family, like abusing him. His mum's a prostitute and all this sort of stuff. Just like proper, just like kick him while he's down type thing, just to make a really twisted killer. And then it got rebooted again for the 2018 one, which basically it keeps the original film as canon and then it gets rid of all the other films. So he is just a human again. He is just like a mentally broken human that for some reason, I think he's fixated on Laurie Strode because he wasn't able to kill her when he was younger. It's sort of like playing on like mental health type issues and stuff like that, and how certain people will be like, it's not like an OCD thing, but like he feels like he's got unfinished business, so he needs to finish it. I think that's sort of like where it leads to. That's why he's coming after Laurie Strode again.
Mm-hmm. Okay, cool. Because I kind of
so that leads us into the 2018 film.
Yeah.
Have you got any questions about the other films?
Well, I have no questions about the other films because I kind of like how he was
sex cults.
I kind of like how he was just this unstoppable force of nature. To be fair,
yeah,
I think I kind of preferred that because although obviously you see him experience pain from from like being shot and from being
stabbed in the eye
and stuff. And that makes sense why he's got such a weird eye in some of the shots that you see of him, because obviously he's got like a white scarred eye from being stabbed through it with a coat hanger. But I like how he's just like, it's almost like because it's Halloween, he's unstoppable.
Yeah.
Which kind of interestingly sets you up because the sequel for the new one coming up, Halloween Kills, you're going to assume is the day after Halloween.
Yeah, so it seems like it's taking place straight afterwards because they're in the hospital after it. They're wearing all the same clothes and stuff like that.
Mm. Which is interesting.
Yeah, it's like this Halloween period is like a trigger for him.
Yeah. So it's like a Halloween, the day after Halloween, and he's still... Maybe he's weaker. I don't know. Maybe he's weaker because it's not Halloween.
I don't know. I don't think it's necessarily like he's empowered on these days, but I think it's sort of like it's a trigger for him. It's like 40 years to the day that I committed these murders and stuff like that, because it was when it came out, and that's when it's set. It's like 40 years later to the day. So it's sort of like it's like a trigger for him again. He's like, I need to finish what started 40 years ago and all this sort of stuff.
Kylo Ren style.
Yeah, kind of. So what did you think about the new film, like broad strokes without like getting into the minutiae of it? What did you think compared to the original? Was it scarier? How did you feel?
My first note is holy brutal, dark, creepy shit, Batman. Like this is definitely more of a modern take. I really enjoyed the beginning where you've got him stood in the middle of the courtyard in the middle of the day with those reporters who bring the mask to him, and everyone else starts freaking out because that was like an iconic bit from the trailer.
Yeah, that's like the presence of evil, like you said, like a force of nature. Like he's like calm and like unflinching. You got the sirens going off, you got the dogs barking, you got all the like mentally ill patients around him all being triggered and stuff like that. Oh, it was so sinister.
Yeah. But like I said, I like that. Yeah, it's brutal. I like how there's a lot of symmetry to the original with this one, which I can imagine that when it's been such a long time that you would watch this and be like, oh, that's a good throwback, and oh, that's a good throwback. But because
that's how I felt as like a fan of the original. I was like, they're doing lots of callbacks, but they feel sincere in the way that they're doing it.
Yeah, but because I've watched it like from one episode to the next, from one film to the next film. They've stood out a lot more, and I've been like, oh, that's a callback. But yeah, they were cool. I like how it feels like a direct sequel, so you wouldn't have to watch all the others.
Yeah, it completely got rid of the others, and like you get references to it, like Laurie Strode's granddaughter, like her mate was just there, like, oh, wasn't like the killer like your nan's brother or something? It was like, no, they're not related. That was just like rumors and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, and I liked
so they're sort of like doing away with all like the bullshit.
Yeah, because it was enough that like enough time had passed, but it was also like relevant enough that you could throw, that it made sense. But this is fucking stupid jump scare central. This film, this wasn't a nice time. There was quite a lot of moments, and all I'm gonna say is thank God for subtitles, because they came up saying Michael breathing heavily at parts where I couldn't hear it. So
spoilers. So you managed to get around the loophole of looking on that website that tells you when the jump scares are, and you just put subtitles on instead, which spoil the jump scares for you.
Well, no, I to be honest, I put subtitles on because I was struggling to understand what someone was saying. Those two British reporters that get KO'd right at the beginning.
Yeah.
Brutal, by the way. Like,
Ugh.
brutal murder.
Oh, do you know what I love? And it just makes my skin
The
crawl every
fact he
time.
loves
Is when he
slamming
drops
people's...
the teeth over the
Yeah.
bathroom stall.
Oh, horror. And it's like that moment where it's like you don't realise what it is yet. And it's like you look closer and you can see the teeth. And he smashes that guy's face into the door. Oh, and he smashes it into the wall. And he loves to just smash people's faces into stuff. And it's like, ugh.
Well, he didn't have a weapon at that point. He didn't have like his signature kitchen knife or anything. So he was literally just like brute strength.
Yeah, weird.
I think that was one good thing that they brought from the Rob Zombies film was like the bathroom fight. Like that was in, I think, the first Rob Zombie remake, and like that was like a savage fight. It was like this utter brawl in a bathroom stall, and like that felt like a nice callback to the reboot as well.
Yeah, and it's it's brutal, and like those bits stood out way better than what they did in the original one. But me being me, I didn't like the tension that led up to that.
Yeah, I feel like this one is like it's a lot more. I think it's signposted like very clearly in this film, like what's like that he's constantly there and stuff like that. And so like sometimes in the original, even when he's not there, it's like trying to like allude to it, like was he there and stuff like that. Whereas this one, it's just like he's fucking there.
Yeah,
like you see a big ass man in the background and he's fucking there.
Yeah, and you get a much stronger vibe of like when he appears, you're not gonna get as many jumps once you see him on screen, because he doesn't move very fast. You know what I mean?
So this is something that I wanted to ask your opinion on, because it's something that I'm still unsure of. So in the first one, like we said, he is a force of nature, and you don't really see him moving from point to point that much, and like he's sort of he is the shape that appears, isn't he? Whereas in this one, you start to see more of his face. You start to see him like unmasked and stuff like that. But then we also follow him a lot more when he's doing his murders. Like in the original, like it's sort of like what a slasher is that we think of, like out of nowhere, like you said, like he burst through the door and you didn't know he was there and stuff like that, and like he kills somebody. Whereas in this one, like you get like one take shots of him like walking all the way through a house and committing murders and stuff like that.
I love that.
Which I think
shot.
I'm really interested in.
Yeah,
I think they're brilliantly shot, but I'm not sure how I feel about, because it kind of like aligns you with Michael almost, and like you're following Michael on his journey almost, which I think is a nice reversal. Like it's sort of like breaking the mold a little bit, but I kind of like Michael being this unknown, like omnipotent force almost. You know what I mean? So I'm unsure of how I feel of it. Did you like that?
Well, I mean, as we move on, it kind of makes more sense. So the scene you're on about, where it's that one take shot where that kid like walks into him and bounces off the front of him and is like, "Whoa, watch out the way, mister!" And then it's like it's him, and he's just walking through because nobody's going to question him walking around. But it's just brutal how he just goes into the house with the hammer, kills someone, takes the knife, and oh my god, mate. I was like, not the freaking baby, Jesus Christ. Please do not kill the baby. And he looks in the cart and then just carries on. And I was like, phew. I was like, whoa, please no. I said, if that happened, I would have been like, this film's a bit much. But no, it carries on. I liked that because it was just like, it just shows like, this is probably how he goes unnoticed. It's like, he just blends in like a shape. And he just moves along. He's wearing the mask. He's wearing the overalls. It's Halloween. He is just camouflaged as himself. I liked all the classic callbacks with the music in this one as well. It wasn't.
Did you know that it was John Carpenter that does the music for it?
Yeah, the classic theme.
I just wanted you to know that because John Carpenter's music's fantastic. It's just cool.
There's not as many classic callbacks where it is on the nose, but you still have a couple of those moments, which is cool.
You've definitely got like on the nose moments, like a lot of it's like on the nose, but it's role reversal stuff. Like I think in this film, Laurie was as much of a threat as Michael was.
Mate, Laurie, and this is why I kind of didn't mind having stuff from Michael's point of view. Laurie Strode was like on some kind of fucking Sarah Connor Dark Fate shit throughout this film.
Yeah,
like,
see, this is why I'm unsure of it. I was like, I kind of like not seeing him in being like this, like shape in the background, like not having him in the forefront. But like you said, like it's a reversal of roles. Like she's now the one like the hunted has become the hunter. Almost like she said, she prayed every night that he would break out so that she could be the one to kill him.
Yeah, and
it's a nice reversal.
Yeah, and I liked that because I thought that was better than her being afraid of him. Like,
yeah,
if she was
like she's afraid, but she's ready.
Yeah, literally.
It's like you were afraid of the film, but you were ready for a horror film.
Channeling my inner Laurie
Sam,
Strode.
you will now become a horror film.
I hope
you will
not.
become the horror film of which you used to be scared of. You'll direct a horror film, Sam.
It's 365 days a year. No, thank you. My favourite part of this film is the kid that is getting babysat.
He's brilliant.
That just is like, when he appears out the wardrobe and he's like,
oh fuck no,
he's like, oh shit, and then he yeets it straight out the house.
Yeah.
And he's like telling everyone else to fucking run, otherwise they're gonna die. It's like,
that little kid, every time I rewatch this film, I can't wait for him. It's the bit where he's like, you're gonna smoke weed in my house. I'm gonna tell my mom. She's there like, honestly, I know you ain't gonna tell, because otherwise I won't be up clipping my nasty ass toenails.
Honestly, he is the
He's
absolute star of the film.
He's the goat.
He is the goat of the film. Like, what is this kid's name? Let me find him in the cast. Because
so this is like co-written by Danny McBride, you know, the actor. And I think that's where the witty dialogue like this comes in. I think that definitely felt like a Danny McBride line.
Here you go. Let's find who he is.
Yeah. Also, that bit of like,
here you go.
when she slips on the floor and stuff is savage.
Jibrail Nantambu. And the article that I found here from Bloody Disgusting is, we all agree that child actor Jibrail Nantambu stole the show in Halloween, right? And he absolutely did.
He's so fucking good.
Just so good. Just so
I was so excited waiting for his scene again when I was rewatching it.
Like, I'd rewatch just his scenes. Because honestly, like, that was the only time I laughed in Halloween. The 2018 version is just where he's like, fuck no, and like yeets it out. It's just so funny. It's hilarious.
Yeah, he's the only one that sort of acts realistically, doesn't he?
Yeah, I was kind of a little bit disappointed that the Doctor just kind of loses his shit and starts putting on the Michael mask. And I was a bit like, what?
But I mean, I liked it. Like he's sort of like explaining how Michael is like a victim in it of himself, and like how Michael's obsessed with Laurie and stuff, but he's become just as obsessed with Michael. So I kind of liked that, but yeah, it was jarring. It was weird, especially because this Doctor hasn't been in any of the other films and stuff like that. Because we've always had Dr. Lupus, but the actor that played him has passed away, so they didn't bring him back for this.
Also, these films are quite short, really. Like, they're not very long films.
No. Yep, they're just concise. They do everything that they need to do. There's no real time wasting in them.
And yeah, very to the point. And then I liked the end bit where you see how kitted out a house is, where it's like, it's not a cage, it's a trap. It's like, and she's like closing those fucking doors with the like the door comes down,
roller shutters and stuff. Yeah. But then you get the callback of like, she's the one busting into the wardrobe, and then Michael ends up hurting her, and she falls out the window off the balcony, and then pulls the reversal of she disappears when he looks back.
Yeah,
and stuff. So that was like nice callbacks and stuff.
Yeah, I really liked those reversals. That was really good.
Also, that fucking savage moment where she just fucking shotguns his fingers off.
Oh, you mean, yeah, and also the fucking gotcha moment that was like, I had to watch that twice. I was like,
with her daughter, with Karen.
So good. where she's like,
I was watching it. I was like, she's such a Karen. She's just like kicking off with her mum. It's like, your mum's fucking traumatized for being nearly murdered.
Oh, man.
Like, give her a break if she wants a glass of wine. You know what
just
I mean?
the part where she's like crying and stuff, and she's got the rifle up there, and then he appears because he's like, "Yeah, I'm gonna get you."
I fell for that hook, line, and sinker when I first saw it.
So good, so good, so good. And then, the trap, and then setting him on fire, and he's just staring, and yeah, it's good. It was good. I liked where it left off.
I'm excited to see the three girls teaming up together. The three generations.
I can't wait for
you got Laurie, Karen. And...
Can't wait for the firefighters and the paramedics to get killed by him.
That's what I'm thinking. Does it start with like a big old murder showdown?
Yeah, probably. I mean, they'll probably see him. Maybe he won't have the mask on, and that's when you see him in the new trailer. You see him pick the mask up outside, and they think he's just a person. And they're like, "Oh, you need to save him," and "Oh, are you okay?"
We might get another callback. So, like you're saying, like maybe a paramedic might go in or something like that. I think it's H2O, if I'm remembering rightly. Whichever one is the one with the teenagers in the house and stuff. In the school, whatever the fuck it is. At the end of it, he pretends to be dead. So he's in the back of a paramedic's van, and then he springs up, and then it's found out in the next film that he takes the place of a paramedic and stuff like that. So maybe he could pretend to be dead, so the paramedics bring him out and stuff like that. That's why the mask's taken off and all that sort of stuff. But then he like rises up in the back of the ambulance, and it's like a callback to that.
Is this the death where he puts his thumb through somebody's forehead?
Oh, I can't. No. I can't remember how he does it now, but like he ends up swapping places, so then Laurie Strode ends up killing like an innocent paramedic by crushing him against a tree and stuff like that.
Oh god,
it gets way complicated, but it's so worth watching them all.
I've read on a couple of articles that they released this 2018 film just to test the waters to know whether it would be something that would work or not, and whether people would like it. And
I think that's why it ends the way it does. Like, it ends with like their story kind of being revolved, but it's got the hint that maybe Michael isn't there anymore. Sort of how the first one leaves off.
Yeah.
The original. But like you said, like it was received rather well. Like I think it was kind of 50-50 with Halloween fans. I really enjoy it. I think I don't prefer the original Halloween 2, but I think it was a nice, like, modern sequel to it. I think it worked really well. Halloween is still my favourite over the 2018 version. Mm-hmm. But, so it did make its money back and stuff like that, so that's when they greenlit it for the two sequels, and then they shot the two sequels back to back. I think...
So, sorry, hang on, just to interrupt. So, you're talking about the sequel that we're getting and then the one after that?
Yeah. Oh. So... That's a little bit disappointing because we now know that probably at least Michael's making it out of the next one. So it's Halloween Kills and then Halloween Ends. They're like ending the story essentially. There's a little bit gutting knowing that they were shooting sequels back to back. So we know like it kind of lowers the stakes of the middle one a little bit. I'm wondering if they change the stakes again by maybe Laurie dies in Halloween Kills, maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
Towards the end of it.
Make it...
And it's left for the next generation.
Yeah, the daughter and the granddaughter, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, she can't just Sarah Connor Michael Myers every single time, can she? Because, no. I don't think that would make a good film.
No.
Because it's just like...
I think you need to raise the stakes again in some way. Like, you need to put... Because otherwise we know there's going to be a third one. So everyone will also subvert expectations. Everybody goes into it knowing that there's going to be a third one. It's like, right, okay, well, none of the main characters are going to die then because they're going to make it out. And then they could like pull out like Laurie Strode dies at the end of the second one. Or maybe Karen dies and then it's left for a granddaughter and grandmother team up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we'll have to
know.
see. I probably won't watch it. So
Also, what did you think of the human head jack-o'-lantern?
oh yeah, that was weird.
I remember that like genuinely got a physical reaction out of me when I saw it.
Yeah.
Even though it was spoiled, like that was, you know how like Empire gets like official photos and stuff like that from the film set and stuff. Like we just had for the Suicide Squad sequel. One of them was the jack-o'-lantern head, but like even when I saw that, like watching the film, I was like,
Yeah, I did that thing where you do like a little bit of a scowl, and I was like,
yeah,
no.
One of their moments.
Yeah,
it's like the head crush, just the fucking stomp of the boot, curb stomp.
Oh god, yeah, that was
I think it was definitely a lot more savage.
Yeah, that was a bit of like an old school kind of horror move, that where it's just like someone's head becomes a watermelon kind of thing.
Practical effects as well.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it was fine. I was pleasantly surprised at how well the old 1978 film held up. I probably it's not changed my mind about watching horror films. To be honest, I probably wouldn't watch anything modern in a cinema still because nope, not for me. But I would gladly watch them at home, or maybe with a mate or my girlfriend or something. Definitely. But
yeah, definitely. How about then? I might go see the next one in the cinema.
No,
to be honest, I haven't seen a horror film in the cinema in years.
No.
I know the last horror film you went to see in the cinema was Silent Hill Revelations.
Yep.
Wow, what a bad film that was.
If you're going to propose to me to go and watch Halloween Kills with you in the cinema, I'm sorry, mate. No.
No, I was going to say I might watch it in the cinema, and then we could watch it together maybe when it comes out on home release.
And then we can review it.
Yeah, because then you can be like, you could look at my reaction and be like, is he wincing? Is something going to happen?
Yeah, no.
Right,
cool. That probably
I would recommend, though, if you liked the original, maybe watch John Carpenter's The Thing from 1982. It's hardly a horror film. It gets classed with horror films. It's a sci-fi film.
I feel like
it's amazing.
I've seen The Thing. I feel like I've seen parts of The Thing.
You probably saw the 2012 prequel.
No, I believe I've seen the old one with the horrible thing with a face, but then it's got spider legs.
Yeah, just go back and watch it again because it's fucking incredible. It's one of my favorite films. I love John Carpenter films. John Carpenter, Papa bless. Next time he does a live music tour, I'm definitely going to go see him because I missed out last time.
Papa bless. And that's where we'll leave it off. So you can hit us up, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, at GetRealPod. You can send us an email, getrealpoduk@gmail.com. You can write into the show, send us a letter, send us anything. We'll read it out. Why not?
Sam's address is...
As long as it's not offensive, please. That's great, thanks.
Just send him body parts in the mail, guys.
Nah, I don't need that. Please don't.
Also, check out our sister podcast, Get Real Gaming. We just launched that. They are on episode 2 as of the time of listening to this. Episode 3 is about to come out. I don't know what they're talking about, but it's really good. Go support Richard and Lawrence over there. You'll hear us on there sometime soon. You'll hear them on here sometime soon. Also, don't forget to leave us a rate and review wherever you listen to this podcast. Go on Podchaser. If you leave a rate and review on there, I'll syndicate it to all the other distributors. Follow us on Spotify, all that sort of good stuff. We are reaching up the billboards. We also had a massive spike in listens this week, so thank you to whatever avenue that came from, but thank you for listening to the episode.
Cheers, peeps.
Episodes. It was a massive boost in numbers. Like, it was a big old spike in our records, but thank you so much, and we'll see you guys on Monday. So you've only got 2 days to wait for another full episode. This was a nice little bonus episode.
Yeah, we'll see you on Monday, guys, for the Mandalorian Season 2, Episode 1.
Ooh.
Oh, you scared me. Oh, jump scare. Oh.
I'm gonna buy one of the Michael Myers masks and just like appear outside your window or something.
Please no.